And we're live. Well, kind of live. So, yeah, we just got done watching more Lower Decks. Yep, we're going to keep on talking about this. Yep, there's a lot more to talk about besides that. But what'd you guys think? Same? Good? Not as good? This is episode 7 and 8.
Well, like I
Uh,
implied last time, it's definitely improvement over the last couple.
yeah,
Okay.
these were still good, still entertaining. Episode 7 was a little off, a little out there for me, but still enjoyed it. But episode 8, I felt was a fun episode with the drill instructor.
Yeah, so we've got episode 7. There's so we'll talk about that a little bit first. This is the one where, they've got the maniacal supercomputer plot point one. And the second plot is, I don't remember the engineer's name, but evidently he's of royal blood of some kind, and he gets
Royal in air quotes, really.
yeah, royal in air quotes. So they get, and his mom, fakes her death so that he can, I don't know, like be king or something. Okay, so
She's
there's
just with him succeeding her royal line, and she's disappointed with the fact that he's decided to fool around with this Starfleet.
yeah. So I'd have to say that plot was not as interesting to me as the evil supercomputer one. That was kind of funny in some ways. So,
Especially since it involved Jeffrey Combs.
yeah, it was Jeffrey Combs, so. And Jeffrey Combs, for those who don't know, he played several characters in Star Trek. And then I don't think he was in the Next Generation, but he was in like Deep Space Nine. He played 2 characters in there, and then he played another character in Star Trek Enterprise. One with Scott Bakula, from Quantum Leap.
Hey, you said he was an Andorian in that, right?
Yeah, he's an Andorian. He's blue skinned with the the antenna. Yeah. So, but yeah, unmistakable voice. If you recognize it, he plays maniacal pretty well. So that's definitely a thing. I thought this was a pretty outside of that other. I mean, it was all right. It wasn't like I don't think a lot. I mean, outside of maybe their friendships were just as strong as they were before. So I don't know that anything really like significant happens in terms of their friendships and stuff like that. So
Yeah, not necessarily. Like this wasn't. Excuse me. This wasn't that strong of an episode for me. I mean, I did get some laughs out of it. Don't get me wrong. I
uh-huh.
mean, there's some funny segments, but yeah, I just felt like the royalty bloodline storyline was just like random, like almost thrown in there. Not it definitely wasn't expected, but I did find it funny, that in order for him to take the throne, he has to, lose his virginity by
Yeah.
by by these guards who were trained at birth to skip through foreplay and
Uh-huh.
help him excel to the throne. And as Jason pointed out, I mean, he's so passionate and loves Starfleet so much that he doesn't want to uh, ascend to the throne and acknowledge his royal heritage. So, I mean, yeah, it was just kind of like whatever in this season, but again, it's still keeping me entertained. Each episode I've been watching. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of whatever episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that bugged me most about this episode was was basically like how the chief engineer managed to get out of like ascending, and it's kind of like wow, it's like out of all the ways the writers could have picked to get him out of that, they picked the meanest. So
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, but
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I generally like this one because I think I mean Jeffrey Combs did a great job as
Love
the
that.
as the evil computer right there. It's like, and I like the fact that it's like it was a fun play on like the evil computer we've seen like so many times before on other Star Trek series. It's like, and it seemed like there felt like there's a self awareness to what he was doing right here. You knew it's like he knew like what was going on here, and he just like kind of played it to the hilt, and that was fun. And I'll admit it's like part of it does kind of stretch disbelief that Boimler would would choose this way in order to get around get around the computer's safeguards, so to speak. But I don't know. It's like I think, but it ultimately kind of like that kind of worked for me in the end. It's like, and I liked like the way they ultimately put one over on on the robot at the end. And as for the B plot involving our chief engineer, and his mom trying to get him to succeed her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like I look at this and I think, you know, I don't think this is like too out of place for Star Trek, really, because they've we've had they've encountered places like civilizations that have taken over taken ancient Rome as their basis. Correct me if I'm wrong, John.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the fact that you get an entire humanoid races basically decided to take after basically make Ren Fair their their stated culture. It's it does not surprise me, because you know that once humans especially nerdy humans are gonna get out into the stars and start establishing their own colonies, they're just gonna establish colonies based on what they want. It's there's an episode of this anime series from way well over a decade back called Planetus, and one of its wackier episodes involved the main character encountering a group of people living on the moon who had basically decided to become ninja because the moon's lower gravity allowed them to do all the sick jumps and athletics that ninjas can do.
Mm-hmm.
And on one hand, that kind of, for me, at first it kind of broke my suspension of disbelief. It's this is just silly, man. It's people pretend to be ninjas on the moon. Oh, wait a second. People would totally do this. It's in low gravity on the moon. So it's that kind of suspension of disbelief that kind of works for me here. And like I said, it's I think the bits with Rutherford and Tendi were kind of formulaic and all, but still, it's it was a decent enough B plot, just marred by a too mean conclusion for the chief engineer.
Yeah. So there is something, I guess. This actually adds character to the chief engineer.
Yeah, it's now we know who this guy is and what his deal is, why he's hanging around. So I mean, but maybe now we've got just how many other cast members they can do this for. So that's something to consider for the future.
And a good call on the hey, there's a whole culture that basically takes after one part of human culture, during some era. That's definitely an homage to a lot of the episodes that we've seen before. It's hey, we've landed on Ren Fair Planet or something. I mean, Ren Fair Planet. When I say Ren Fair Planet, I'm really talking about the Middle Ages kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of cool. And I did kind of
looking forward to Japanese Shogun Planet in season 3.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it was funny. It's when Rutherford tries to get into the lingo, and he says something about the, I don't know, I don't remember exactly what he said, and he just made something up, and the chief engineer's like, don't do that.
Yeah, because they called the material dragon's blood, and he was like, huh? Oh, that's just our name for it, but it's actually he spits the technical term for it, and Rutherford is like, oh, I picked it up on my elf radar or whatever, and he's like, don't say that.
It's don't say that.
Yeah, it was comedy.
So some enjoyable moments in it. Yeah, I think it was it was fine. I mean, not terrible. So I will give it that. So.
But I do appreciate the phrase that's been coined from this episode. You've been boimed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now the evil supercomputer, it's great. At the end, when they take him to the place where they keep all of the evil supercomputers, There's just all these compartmentalized, just like in their own little, like, essentially jail cells. That's great. But yeah, I kind of enjoyed. I think that Jeffrey Combs, if I think he's been one of the better recurring characters. The stuff he plays in the regular Star Trek stuff is pretty fun. And he always, let's see here, he played a Ferengi. He played one of the Vorta, which is a Jem'Hadar, like basically keepers, if you will. They serve the Dominion. And then in Enterprise, he played that Andorian, as you were saying, blue skinned. Yeah, pretty interesting. So, yeah, and cool to hear his voice. So, the second episode we saw was this other. This is like strange. So I'm going to have to give just a little bit because I didn't understand like this episode immediately. But the guy that the person that you said the drill instructor is what you're referring to. So
Yeah.
that was yet another, can split their body into like 3 parts or something like that. So this is an homage, and I didn't realize this until later when it was pointed out that that's actually a character that came from like the original Star Trek animated series. Like you've never seen that character before. So this is the second, and it's really actually the third time that we've seen one of them. One of them was a cameo, but the other time was, do you remember that episode where Boimler was like caught in the transporter thing and he was kind of like phasing in and out, and they put him on that ship to go to that planet, that rehabilitation planet, and all the other kind of freaks were on there.
Yeah.
And you remember the guy with the 3 arms? So that is another character. I mean, like it's another race or species, I should say, that was that was created out of the animated show. So,
So when you talk about the animated show, are you talking about the original Hanna-Barbera or the Filmation?
Oh, the Filmation one, yeah, Filmation one. So
okay.
So yeah, so that green.
Like, no continuity is sacred for this show.
Yeah, I mean, like I told you, that the Infinite Vulcan, the big Spock that you saw the skeleton of in that other episode this season. So there was that. So again, to me, it's like, oh, that's a nod if you really like that show. I don't, although people like it. I like this way better. So I liked it because this episode, wow. So if you're a fan of Rick and Morty, the best way I can describe this show is like they were able to put, like tell little mini stories of them going through like different scenarios, because that's what they were doing in little mini holodecks, right? So almost gave me a vibe of like, like what was that? Oh man, like I know Rick and Morty did it a few times.
Like Rick and Morty's Mind Benders, or
that's what I was going to say. The Rick and Morty Mind Benders, and there's another few of them that are kind of like that. But of course, this one's kind of like grounded in a single kind of thread of testing and stuff like that. So, but yeah, and so it gave them a chance to do some, really good stuff. Mariner gets to go to the Mirror Universe. Funny. A lot of them fail in their tests. Mirror Universe is like, they spent a lot of money on different costumes, but it was basically them on the same ship. It's just like everyone's evil, and even Rutherford has a goatee, which is kind of a joke because when the original Star Trek crew went to the Mirror Universe, Spock had a goatee. It's kind of funny. And what other ones there were? I think there was the one where they had to, Tendi had to I don't know what she had to do with the dang Klingon, but they all failed these tests.
Honorable death.
Yeah, and she wound up saving his life or something. So that's the bad thing.
She did not respect his culture.
That's right. But yeah, so basically the crew goes through all of these little scenarios, and wind up failing. And I think the more funny one was the one where Rutherford has to like basically reenact the Star Trek 2 scene, like like where Spock sacrifices himself in the engineering room, which was, and then he winds up dying. But was also kind of mirrored in the Kelvin Universe movie. What was it called? Into Darkness, I think it was called. Where basically it was the reverse of that, where Kirk winds up dying instead of Spock. So
only for a little bit, though.
Yeah, only for a little bit because there's triple blood. Anyway, that saved his life. And then there's the Borg thing, right? So, and I think it's probably the most hilarious of those scenarios because he winds up passing but he's not satisfied with it.
Right.
Actually, this part was the one where on one hand, it's like part of me, like, I liked it. It's like, and yeah, it was definitely funny to see, like, Boimler, like, try and like go through this thing as it's like, in order to get a perfect score, because that I can totally see him being not satisfied, with less than a perfect score. What I didn't quite buy is that Boimler's never really been established as like the action hero kind of guy episode that we see him in this sequence.
True.
Yeah, so
True.
I don't know. I'm wondering, like, do you think it's like okay, I mean, on one hand, this could be, just like some sloppy writing, but at the same time, I could also just imagine that Boimler is just really, really good at test taking, and he's the kind of guy who's really good at test taking, but less good at actually putting this stuff into practice. So I would like to see an episode like follow up on this and basically establish him that when he was in like Starfleet Academy, he's like, oh man, he had the best training scores out of anyone. But then when it came to putting him into practice, he just fell in the real world. Like once he stepped out of the holodeck onto the real world, it's like he just like he was just only good enough for the California class cruisers.
And see, you bring up a good point right there, and it makes me want to put on my tinfoil hat and still stick with my story that's got to be clone Boimler from what was that ship? Was it the Atlas?
Oh, the Titan.
Titan, thank you. Yeah, and now certain clues are starting to come together. Like, is this our original Boimler from season 1, or is this clone Boimler from the Titan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's like, I'd like to see them follow up on this. Like I said, I would love to see them go with my idea, but I don't know, it's like I worry that it's likely we might not see this at all again. And I did like the twist about the tester being, she basically had to fail them in order to justify her own job, which I don't know, man. It's like you guys have some government work history, so I mean, I'm sure you're not familiar with that kind of thing at all.
Yeah.
I'm not going to comment on anything on that.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious though. I mean, it all works for me, and I like them, and I thought it was a fun episode to watch. And in the end, Boimler has to basically tell him to stay in the holodeck, so he.
Minner tells Boimler he has to stay in the holodeck.
Yeah, so that they can convince the instructor to or basically make her change the score. So for the Cerritos crew, which I think is pretty funny. That's pretty good. So, and then essentially it's called Excretus of Borg. Hello.
Sounds about right.
And they pop him out, and he starts talking like a Borg, and he's like, "Oh, they're gonna put implants in mine." And Marin's like, "Oh, shut up!" Like something like
I got my perfect score, right?
Yeah, perfect score.
Sure
you
did.
got perfect score. So, yeah, it's again another fun episode. I think it's I kind of like the Easter eggs and all that stuff that I saw in there. So I mean that's kind of entertaining to me. So what are your thoughts on it, guys? Just overall good, or
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like this was another fun episode, and even I got some of the little Easter eggs and references, like seeing Rutherford go through the core meltdown
Yeah.
scenario, and and just the little details, like seeing that crew member with the Star Trek 2 uniform. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's cool. Like that's a nice touch. They're staying within the realm of the time period, and obviously too, like the Borg is probably like more of the common lore that I'm more acquainted with, given Next Generation, and of course like the movies and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
it was kind of cool to see them in animated form, but like you guys were touching upon, just kind of seeing Boimler not being satisfied with his passing grade and trying to go for perfection. I mean, it was very reminiscent of somebody like trying to, at least for me who's a gamer, same with you guys, like it just reminds me of like a person trying to better their score in a video game. Like right now I've been playing Forza Horizon 5, and it's like if I don't get first place, it's like nah, that's not good enough, run that back again. And so like that's just kind of the um the perfectionist tendencies that Boimler has, that we see coming out when taking just this little drill test. So yeah, I mean it was interesting too to kind of see like the upper I keep thinking upperclassmen, but the senior officers. It was interesting to see the senior officers get a taste for what the lower
Ah,
deck crew members have to go through, because sometimes you have to be empathetic for where you started from, because sometimes like even in the real work world, when you climb up high enough, sometimes you forget like where you started, whether it's like help desk or a clerical
mhm.
job. Like you want to show the courtesy to those people that are serving you, that you wish you would have gotten a lot more when you were doing those type of jobs. So it was interesting to see them kind of get that wake up call and present them with a better damn, what's the name of that machine? Not a duplicator, but
Oh, the
Replicator.
replicator for the food
replicator.
replicator.
Food
Yeah.
replicator. Yeah, yeah. It was nice to see them like give them a simple appreciation gift as a better food replicator, where they can eat pesto and lobster bisque, and a lot more fancier foods than generating one slice of pizza at a time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I love Tendu's comment. She's like, "What is this stuff?" It's like pesto, and she just falls in love with it.
yeah.
So I
Does
thought
make me
that
wonder,
was
like,
good.
why the like upper like senior officer recipes weren't already in the replicators, because it doesn't sound like that would be that hard to do in the first place.
I know. I mean, I agree with you, but then maybe that's just a form of punish. Like, and like maybe it's not a form of punishment as much as it's an incentive for them to move up.
Yeah, maybe it's that proverbial, carrot on a stick, where like,
Hmm.
yeah, you want these type of foods, you're gonna have to like step up in your rank, and that's just aside from a bigger paycheck, you get better food.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's like you
So
get, if you're lower decks, you get turkey bacon. You don't get real bacon.
yeah,
I don't know. I'm just making it up, right? So yeah, it again, pretty fun. I enjoyed this episode. I can't say I hate any of these episodes. Just overall, in the season here. So I have enjoyed them in one way or another, whether it be through some of the Easter eggs I see. And I'm telling you, I don't get every Easter egg. I'm going to let you know. I mean, and I see them, but I miss them. Like I told you, the original animated ones, I almost always miss those. Because I never watched that show and I don't care. But for the other ones, I was like, oh, hey, that's pretty cool. If I catch it. So yeah, it's lots of fun.
Yeah. Well, it's like we want you to like let us know about these references, because I mean this show was basically, seems like it was built for them. Yeah, especially ones for the animated series.
Yeah, and and I was watching a different commentary on this, and I didn't realize this because I'm not plugged into the Trek community, but evidently a lot of the Trek community that likes the show considers it like a love letter to the original, like all the other Treks that came before it. So with all of its references and stuff. So
Well, a lot of the nods are more affectionate than derisive. So
yeah. So which is enjoyable. So, but I mean, you also got to kind of like the characters that they build. I kind of dig, the Mariner mom relationship. I dig the the Tendi Rutherford relationship. And the Boimler Mariner. I mean, they just got a lot of different pieces that kind of fit, and I'm like, oh, that's neat. So
Yeah, this show does a great job to make you really care about the characters, and of course, dealing with our main lower deckers. I mean, we've had more. As an audience member, it feels like we spent more, intimate time with them, on their job, in their private life and on their adventures, to where like, yeah, you just want to see them grow and succeed. And again, like you said with Mariner and her mom, once we learn that little tidbit earlier on in the series, it's kind of like, oh man, how is this going to mature, or how is this going to explode? Because they've bumped heads, since the beginning, but obviously since we've come into season 2, now that the secret is out that they're mother and daughter, I think it's starting to bring them a little bit closer. But at the same time, just like any mom or any parent, like, she's harder on her own kid because she knows her potential and wants her to see her succeed. And obviously, we know Mariner comes from a prestigious family of leaders. Her mom being a captain and her dad being an admiral. So it's only natural that her mom is harder on her. Like, you're still stuck in the lower decks all these years, yet you're destined for more. And so it's going to be interesting how we see these characters progress throughout the series. But then at the same time, like, by the end of the series, where could they be led to? Because obviously, like, each one is very passionate and very skilled in their respective skill sets.
Yep, they sure are. Yeah, and I like how they do that. So, have you guys ever seen the Star Trek First Contact movie, the one with the Borg in it?
Yep.
A long ass time ago. Yeah.
It plays out like a zombie movie, but I call it zombies in space because like if they touch you, you can turn into them, and it's like being bit by a zombie.
I mean, they got the Borg Queen, like Alice Krige, to reprise her role here.
Yeah. I did recognize her voice. It does sound like it is her, huh? Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Easy for her, by the way. I was like, oh, that's cool. So Borg Queen, all that. Yeah, lots of good fun. So all right, cool. Outside of that, I think how many more episodes are left in this?
I believe you got 2 more episodes.
Arguably the best, I will say.
Okay.
I'll build hype. I'm building hype for them. In fact, like next episode, we get to see like a rogue Vulcan. It's like one who doesn't take any crap. One who like doesn't play by the rules. It's like it's not like chained to like your it's like your logic and all. So
does he have a goatee?
No, it's like she's a loose cannon, man. It's like out there to break all the rules.
Okay. Well, that sounds exciting. Okay, everyone. Cool. Anything else?
Nah, just a pleasure to continue watching this series with you guys from afar, and yeah, I'm enjoying it, dude. Thank you for your introduction into this wonderful series. And you know what, Paramount and Viacom, thank you for a subscription as well.
Yep. Sounds great. All right, guys, we'll catch you next time.
All right, laters.
Have a good weekend, kiddies.